This energy feels like a little surprised, a little overwhelmed, like not in a bad way, but in like a getting more than you anticipated type of way. Um, like you set out to catch a trout and you hooked into a sturgeon. Um, like something ended up feeling a lot bigger than you anticipated. Um, so I'm kind of curious. I think I was about to say I think this might have to do with love, and then we got the Two of Cups. So if you've been kind of feeling that way, feel free to stick around and see what the cards have to say on the matter. So, in this situation, I think that there's definitely this feeling of going out, maybe looking for something, looking for something good, but not necessarily, I think, expecting that much, you know, because we have the Four of Wands right over the Hanged Man here. I think that like you may have kind of first set out on this journey, um, with this image in your head of just finding something that feels like home, something that feels meaningful and welcoming to you. Um, and then you kind of came into this Empress that's showing up under the Two of Cups. You kind of came into this connection, this meeting, this attraction to someone that feels like an Empress to you, someone that feels just very magnetic, very nurturing, very healing, very divine. Um, and I think that is caused a little bit of conflicted energy with this Five of Wands that we have in the middle of this Four of Wands and Two of Cups. Because you're going out, you're looking for something, but maybe like I said, a bit of a smaller fish to fry, so to speak. And you sink your line into something that I think feels like more than you anticipated. And there may be some conflict here about worrying that you have the capacity, with this Eight of Pentacles under the Five of Wands, have the capacity to really like manage this in a productive and healthy way, and I think like this kind of feels like the energy of someone feeling like a little bit like conflicted, a little bit like knotted up inside. Um, like you didn't quite have the preparation in mind, to show up in balance union with like this kind of energy that feels like this important to you. Um, and I think that there's definitely a sense here of, I think this like making you want to show up better, making you want to do the things that need to be done. I'm kind of seeing, because I was talking about before, like, you kind of starting this journey and more of this Hanged Man energy, a little bit resigned, a little bit feeling like you don't have a lot of options. It's like, I'll go out and I'll catch what I can catch. Um, and I think that you're starting to move into a little bit more of this like action oriented Knight of Swords, where you're like, I actually realize, now that I see that this is kind of an option, that I would like this, but there's a little bit of like, I think emotional balancing on a personal level with the Nine of Cups here under that Eight of Pentacles that needs to happen in order for you to like stay grounded, with the Four of Pentacles under the Empress, like stay grounded. I think that this person's like energy is a little overwhelming to you at times, and sometimes it may feel like you are kind of like hanging on for dear life. Definitely something bigger than you anticipated on your line. And I think that like I'm kind of picking up from this, like this feeling of like what now? What now? Like I have, you know, this opportunity being presented to me that's bigger and brighter than what I thought, you know, and I'm trying to do what I need to do to make it work, but sometimes it feels like I'm just kind of barely hanging on for dear life, barely hanging on to my stability as it is. Like what does Spirit want you to know? King of Swords, Wheel of Fortune. Um, this isn't by accident, you know? With that like Wheel of Fortune there, there's a very strong element of fate to this connection. And I think like with the King of Swords there, something about like helping you to evolve and like stand more in your power, stand more in your truth. Because I was talking about like you're evolving from this like hanged man into this Knight of Swords, and it's almost like, you know, then after the Knight of Swords comes the King of Swords. And I think like this connection is designed to help you with that, to help you to feel fully actualized. And like, yeah, it's a little overwhelming, but like the universe is giving this to you kind of like as both a learning experience and also a gift, you know, and they want you to feel worthy and capable of receiving that. You know, because if we take on more than we, you know, have the capacity to manage, even if it is positive energy, like that can be very overwhelming. That can kind of like put us in a more dysregulated and more conflicted state. With this like Three of Pentacles here, this is, I mean, there is like balancing there. He's literally balancing them on his nose. But it's also about like collaboration, you know, and seeing partnership as not just the ways that like you need to show up for another person or the ways that you're lacking in that, but also like learning to work together to bolster both of your strengths. And I think that this is someone who can both like nurture you as you step into your power, and also I think like support you and help like refine that part of you that sees your truth and that knows your truth and that isn't just like swept away with all of these, you know, different fighting feelings and these anxieties and these feeling of being trapped or not having options, like helping you to, you know, realize your skill and your, we're gonna keep coming back to is like your truth. So I kind of want to know like what does this person see as you in your most authentic self? What is this person sees your truth and wants to nurture that truth? Like what are they looking at? What do they see? How do they view you? So I think that might help put your mind at ease. There might be a element of, I think, not having the greatest self-esteem, and I think like that making it difficult for you to see yourself as like worthy in this connection. Um, but clearly, if this person's here, it's because they wanted to take the bait. You know, they didn't end up here by accident. We've got the Two of Pentacles, the Fool, the Page of Pentacles, Strength, Ten of Cups, and the Nine of Pentacles. So I think that like is really something here about this person viewing you as someone who, like, they have the capacity to build their dream life with. Like with the Fool over the Ten of Cups, it's like, yeah, you may not be at the culmination of the journey, but it's like you're someone that they want to take that journey with. They want to get to that Ten of Cups, that feeling of happiness, of joint fulfillment, of divine love. And I think that, like, they also really admire with that, like, Page of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, how you have this way of, like, going for the things that matter to you and, like, identifying them. Because I'm seeing these cards kind of coming together, and, like, the way that they view you is, you're kind of just going about your life, doing what you do. And when you see something that matters to you, even if it's kind of buried down there, it's kind of obscured, maybe a little out of reach, like, you do the work to unearth that, to go for what you want. And I think, like, that makes you someone who is capable of, like, being very independent. And I think, like, they actually admire that. There's a little bit of, like, grit, a little bit of resilience in this. Like, you know how to take care of yourself, and you don't mind putting in the work there. I think that they also see you as someone who does a lot to balance out yourself and your energy, because we have this strength here. And, with the strength card, there's the cat with the flower crown, who's shutting the lion's mouth. And with that, like, lion there, I think it's almost like they see both the parts of you. They see the part of you that is very strong, is very ferocious, has the capacity to cause harm. And they also see the part of you that, is maybe a little smaller or a little more vulnerable, but, kind of balances that out. And really is able to, I think, like, use that ferocity that you have in a positive way. And I really like that in both this, like, Two of Pentacles and the Strength card that we see underneath it, we see, like, the infinity symbol in both. And I think there's something there about, like, this being something that is, like, self-sustaining. It's like that like, infinite loop. And I think that, like, they almost, like, don't want you to be afraid to acknowledge the work that you put into to, like, balance those parts of you. Like, they're not afraid of your shadow, of their shadow. And they really admire the self-sufficiency and the, like, self-control that you've cultivated, even when it isn't easy, even when it's like you are consciously putting effort into balancing this. And I think, like, to you, it feels like, oh, I'm barely hanging on to control. And they see it as, something almost a little more elegant, something a little bit more divine. And I think that they like that. I also feel like there's something else. Apparently there's a lot more. Let's get into the Devil, Nine of Wands, Six of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, Four of Cups, Eight of Wands, Seven of Pentacles. It's funny with that, like, Devil and Nine of Wands. It feels like a little bit of a reiteration of kind of what I was talking about with the Strength card, where it's like they do see you kind of, like, fighting your demons, so to speak, and they see, like, the way that you've held out. But I think that they also, there's something with that, like, Queen of Wands there that, I'm getting. It's like I'm not afraid of a little fire, a little hellfire. I'm not afraid of the devil. Like, you have to remember, you're dealing with an empress here. This is someone who, has kind of been there, done that. And I think that there's something here with that, like Six of Pentacles coming out after the Nine of Wands, that like I think you don't have to feel so much like you always have to repress certain things around this person. You know, it's funny, like the way that they're giving me with this image with them, like the one cat, dropping the fish into the other's mouth. It's like they kind of eat that shit up. I don't think we're talking about like, you doing things that are, actually toxic, hurtful, just things that like you may feel like maybe you have to be like perfect for this person. You don't want to have too many vices or, like give in to certain desires or emotions. And, you're running yourself a little ragged. I think like holding it back and like trying to be very, I think like very, very controlled all the time. Um, but I think that this person likes all of the parts of you. That's funny. Now I'm like in my head, like getting images and like references to Shrek, which, I guess that makes sense because in it, like Shrek has this whole thing where it's, like no one could ever love an ogre. I'm, a monster. The only way I could, interact with someone is if I change who I am. And then it turns out, like Fiona's an ogre too, and that's what she loves about him, and happily ever after. And this feels like kind of the same thing where I feel like this person like almost like wants to match your energy here, but like they can't fully do that because you're again almost in this state of like, holding yourself back from certain parts of your energy. And I think like that may be tiring you out a little bit and like making it a little harder to show up and making it feel like you're not as in control as you would like to be because you're exhausted from this. And like, yeah, it takes a lot of energy there. But I think that there's absolutely a way to embody like intense energy, intense desire that's very positive. Because the card that we have coming out over here, like after we kind of move past this apathy, this resistance with the Four of Cups, right under the Six of Pentacles, where I'm talking about them like eating this shit up. We have the Eight of Wands, and I think like this is kind of like the intense energy, um, that I think you've been holding back. That is really like what they've flew out of my hand. What they've been waiting for. I think like they've been wanting to almost like unearth this part of you a little bit, like dig that up. And you're out here like, no, no, this can stay buried. This can stay buried. I don't. I want to keep it in check. And it's like they admire the fact that you're willing to do so much to keep everything going the way that it goes. And we don't obviously want to just give in to the devil. But I think in this case, what this is representative of is, really the parts of you that I think maybe just felt like too intense, like too much for the people in your circle before with that like Three of Cups. It may have felt like, maybe I'm too passionate, or I'm too driven about this, or I should just not feel so much about this in order to, I think, like fit in with the people around you. But this is someone who really likes that. They really like the intensity. They really like the passion. They really like you showing up as your whole self, as you not like dimming that light at all. Um, and I think that that's part of the reason why this kind of connection is brought to you, is so that you can feel actually balanced and like actually seen and appreciated for who you are, not just for what you're capable of repressing. Which I think is great. But I'd love to get some more cards on what's kind of what we need to know right now. What's the outcome moving forward? The World, Nine of Swords, Seven of Swords, the Moon, and King of Wands. I think that again, this is closing a lot of cycles for you with the world. I think that there's like anxieties that you've had, kind of about like almost like this repression, almost like this sense of feeling like you're not being fully authentic, or you're just like pushing these things down to your subconscious. And I think like with the world, this is meant to let it come full circle, to allow yourself to be whole, fully seen, fully integrated, and that's your power. That's King of Wands right there. That's your passion and your spark that I think, we started out with this like Five of Wands, conflicted energy. And the King of Wands, he's capable of just completely, completely overriding that, overcoming that, and managing that. And I think that like when you really step into your power and you really own your passion, your desires, your energy, um, it's like those little knots in your stomach before, like they don't mean shit, because you have that power, and it's no longer just this anxiety that's kind of like lurking in the dark. It's this skill that you consciously wield and you consciously use. And this, again, I think this is someone who is brought to you to help you learn that and help you accept that and help you feel really appreciated and cherished and valued and desired for even those things that you felt like before you needed to hide, or you felt like caused you a lot of anxiety, and like learning how to manage them in a healthy way, which I think that that's fucking fantastic. So congrats on that, and best of luck going forward.